Property crime in Toronto is 40% higher than in New York. That's according to a new study published by the Fraser Institute think tank. It found from 2019 to 2022, Thunder Bay had Ontario's highest rate of property crimes, which include burglary, theft, and auto theft. Toronto, Hamilton, and Windsor all ranked higher for property crime than New York and Detroit. Lethbridge, Alberta had the highest rate of any Canadian city, while Kelowna was second. Winnipeg, Manitoba is Canada's most violent city with the highest rate of violent crimes of all urban areas. And for more on this, we're joined in studio by CB24's crime analyst, Steve Ryan. Steve, so good to have you. This is kind of surprising. Why are we 40% higher than in New York?
So this goes to reported crimes. And here in Canada, we categorize a crime a lot differently than they do in the United States. So that could be one of the explanations as to why the crime is higher here, reported crimes higher here than down in, say, New York City. Another reason is because they're more aggressive with their policing in, let's say, New York City. Again, it's a very dense population. They have more officers per block than Toronto does. So that would really affect the stats. And lastly, repeat offenders. Here in Canada, we've reported on this very often, that people who are charged with multiple offenses are still out on a bail. They contribute to a lot of the crime statistics as well. In the States, they're more likely to be held in custody than they are here in Canada. So
when you say reported crimes, are we as Canadians more likely to report a crime than in the United States?
Yes. So we're more likely to report the crime, but the way the crime is categorized as well may be reported differently here than down in the States. So they may also report it down in, say, New York City, but they may soften that blow by categorizing it in a different category, if you will, than we would here. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we're seeing such a spread in the differences.
So we're talking even Detroit, which is probably notorious for crimes as well.
Again, I think the policing in the United States is a lot different than here in Canada, here in Ontario. We are not as aggressive with our policing, and we're more liberal when it comes to law and order. So if somebody's on multiple charges, they're still released. They go out into the community, and as we saw from police who report all the time, they'd say person X has committed 8 offenses, now they're charged with 20 more. So you can sum up or give a lot of the different numbers to just a few individuals. And I think that's the big difference.
And looking at these numbers, it is still quite surprising that, you know, for reported cases, if you were to change something, what would you change?
Well, I think that's a great question. To deter would be to keep more people in custody who are out on several bails already. You cut off that supply when it comes to people who are on bail. If they stay in custody, they're not going to come out and commit more crime. So if the rules are there in effect to keep somebody in custody, I think we could do that, and that would make a big difference.
Steve, thank you so much for sharing your insight. Appreciate it. CP24's crime analyst, Steve Ryan. Thank you.